Hello and thank you for joining us on the Monday edition of Journalists Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozugbakun. Today on the program, APC Caretaker Committee holds inaugural meeting, begins moves to reunite feuding party members as Oshiomhole accepts removal in good faith. And later on the show, President Buhari mourns as Kogi State Chief Judge Nasiru Ajanah dies at Isolation Center in Gwagwalada. Thank you for joining us. The All Progressive Congress, APC, is enjoying a momentary calm after a raging storm. The 13-member Caretaker Committee formed after the dissolution of the National Working Committee held its first meeting today as part of reconciliation moves. Meanwhile, the erstwhile National Chairman Adams Oshiomhole says he has accepted his removal in good faith. Here is the story.
The crisis brewing within the ranks of the All Progressives Congress seemed to reach a head with the calling of a National Executive Committee meeting on Thursday. President Muhammadu Buhari had some strong words to say to the gathering, which took place at the council chambers of the presidential villa and ended with the dissolution of the National Working Committee of the party. A caretaker special convention committee, chaired by the governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni, was sworn in by the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, to take the place of the NWC. Some observers believe the challenges the party is facing is because major decisions are taken by a few people.
We as support groups and millions of Nigerians that are with support groups across the Federation, we have lost confidence. And if there's anybody who is duly recognized by the law of the land to reposition the party, I want to bet you that we're going to throw our weight behind such a person.
After the dissolution, members of the dissolved NWC had initially threatened court action. Among their number, some have since opted out from pursuing that option, saying the president has admonished that all court cases be withdrawn.
A member or former member of the NWC, we have no option rather than to respect the will of our president, the will of our leaders. As a law-abiding and a party man, I accepted wholeheartedly the decision of Mr. President.
The man in the eye of the storm, Adams Oshiomhole, says he has accepted the decision of the president and will not go ahead with any court action.
My case that is currently pending at the Supreme Court, which has to do with the issue of my suspension, to sustain the legal action with that amount to disobeying one of the decisions that the president has reached, namely that all cases be withdrawn from court. I still believe that even as a member of APC, I have a duty to lead by example. So I have now taken a bow and I accept the decision of the NEC in good faith.
He appeals to party supporters to rally round the committee, which he says are made up of compatriots. While the National Caretaker Committee is yet to come up with its working plans, some party members say a national convention should come after the Ondo State election. Habida Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.
Jide, I was in Edo State as the drama within the All Progressive Congress happened last week. And I took a deeper insight into my own interpretation of the whole situation. And I looked at what Mr. President said. I said, after the whole thing, I just said, okay, it's like you are having migraine and you use Panadol. Yeah, temporarily. It might, it might douse the headache, but the headache is likely to come back. What Mr. President has just done, Jide, I want to get your own interpretation. He has just used fiat in achieving most things. But at the heart of this matter, a lot of people will say interests within the groups ahead of 2023.
Yes, it's clear that the governors especially, were tired of the Oshiomhole-led leadership, NWC. You see, some time ago I was in Abuja, and I told you that some governors were ganging up to remove the national chairman of the party. At that time, between 12 to 14 of them were prepared to remove the national chairman. There are many of them who are fence-sitters. You see them today, they pretend that they are with Oshiomhole, but in the real sense, they are not with Oshiomhole. Majority of them did not like the way Obaseki was treated, and they were determined to bring down the roof. They would not mind if the APC dies.
That's singular action.
As long as Oshiomhole remained the national chairman, they were ready to do the most unthinkable. Mr. President then felt that, where do we go from here? Because whether we like it or not, the way the whole thing is structured places so much power in the hands of governors. They are the ones in charge of the delegates. They are the ones who fund the party at state level right up to ward level. You can imagine what happened. Almost like an aberration for a ward chairman to be suspending the national chairman of the party. But it was the governors who advised Obaseki to go ahead and get that ward chairman to suspend Oshiomhole. And all the other divisive moves were either sponsored by them or encouraged by them.
They were in and out of court.
They were, yes.
Getting
you can imagine how can Giadom, for example, somebody as lowly as the deputy secretary of the party, is making a strong claim to the leadership of the party, to the chairmanship of the party, national chairmanship. I'm going ahead to cause so much problems.
He handed over to them.
Yes,
he was the one that handed
I saw
over.
him.
That means officially they've recognized him.
No, the moment the president...
If it's for 1 minute.
The moment the president agreed to listen to him, you know, when he issued that statement that the meeting will be held inside the Aso Rock, many people were laughing at it, that this joker has come. But the moment the president recognized him, and the president allowed a meeting that he called to take place.
In the villa.
In the villa. That means the president already recognized him as the national chairman of the party. And the people who advised the president were also saying, look, he's the only one recognized by the courts so far. So let us allow him to call that meeting. But they had made up their minds what to do. Oshiomhole was the person that they wanted to get out of the way. And I had said it repeatedly, even when I was in Abuja, I was saying that these governors see an attempt to embarrass one of their own as something that they must resist by whatever means possible. So by the time Oshiomhole now got Obaseki suspended, they got furious. Look at the people who went to the president.
Look at the timing.
They went straight to the president and said, see, an embarrassment is coming if we do not do something now. They then used a former governor to get Giadom to activate the so-called ex parte order that was there. And the rest is history. The president's hands were tied. His hands were clearly tied. Oshiomhole was the person, was the target. They could not stand the way he talks to some of them. Remember when Oshiomhole spoke
to the Labour Minister that time that, look, I'm not the president that you people can treat with levity. That if any of you misbehaves, we'll tell the president to remove you. The man had to give it back to him. So many of these governors felt embarrassed that they had a national chairman who was high-handed. Remember, it was the same kind of situation that caused the PDP national chairman back then, Bamanga Tukur, to be removed.
Yes.
And it was governors too that ganged up against Bamanga Tukur.
It was high-handedness.
Yes. So any national chairman of the APC that does not enjoy overwhelming support of governors cannot survive. That is the lesson from the, cannot survive. It's as simple as that.
It was carry them along.
If you do not carry them along, they will wage war against you, they will call meetings, and ultimately you will be kicked into touch, as they say in football. So, and that's what has happened.
Okay, let me join Mobolade. Bolade. Okay, Bolade is not ready. Okay, I think my producers are still working on this. Julie, ultimately now, we have a convention committee. We have the Yobe State governor leading the caretaker committee, and they've been sworn in today. And they might spend maybe 6 months or thereabouts, you know, and they will organize, their responsibility to organize a fresh convention.
Yes.
And I see that as the titanic battle before the 2023 presidential election. Whoever succeeds in getting what will go a long way in laying claim to the structure of the party. What do you make out days ahead?
Yes, the field is clear now. Whoever wants to contest, the Hausas will say Gafili Gadoki. The field is here and the horses are ready to run.
So all the contending factions now.
The various
just
tendencies
bring your
within the
candidates.
party.
Yes.
A fresh battle has started now between them
Fills your...
for the soul of the party. This is an unfinished battle.
Yes.
So for the soul of the party now, all of them, all their eyes are on that convention. The task that May Malabune, the governor of Yobe, has as a former secretary of the party, he knows the party very well. The inner workings of the party. He ran the party, so they chose him. And he also has a level of even-handedness that most of the governors don't have, you know. So he has that even-handedness. So they believe that, yes, he's the right person to do it. You can't give the job to a cow fireman, for example. Nobody will want to work with him. The other, except people belong to his own group who are bent on removing Oshiomhole. So now with him there, he has to lay down the criteria for congresses to be held. And then the issue of zoning. The party also has to agree on zoning of
where the national
party positions and all that. These are the things that May Malabune has to do. And May Malabune must also unify the party members. If there's anyone who can do it, it's him. Because he's a quiet man, he's a humble man. So he has to go around the contending groups and tell them that there's a future for them in the party.
Because the situation is so fluid now. If any flawed congress or any flawed convention is held,
there will be court actions again.
Apart from the court action, a bulk of the party can pull out of the party and APC can go into extinction.
Once, you know, sometime like last year now is the dangerous time for defections to happen. When defections happen close to a major election, it can cause the party to lose that election. It happened to the PDP in 2013.
Yes.
Those defections
Those that
happened.
went to
those defections happened and they never recovered. So his duty is to now unify the people, go around them and tell them, look, let us not cause this party to fall. Let's work together, let's unite, let's forget what has happened. That is the most important task. That
losers should accept defeat, winners should be generous.
Yes, that look, there's still a future for you in this party. That's what he will be telling them. That there's a future for them. Otherwise, if they still think that, look, there is no future for them, some of them will go and join the PDP.
Or another party entirely.
Well, maybe the PDP, the politicians will think of where they are likely to win the next election. A new party may not be it. They'll probably go to the PDP. And you know the battle is close now between both parties. They have almost the same number of states.
Very close.
So
very close.
If you go to strengthen the PDP now, that is bad news for the APC.
Now, looking at the contending forces now, most of them complain that the NWC, the composition was actually skewed against them, and that some people had control of the NWC. Now they've set up this committee, and when you want to look at the interests, those interests is not about the party ultimately. Some of them, they want to try their best, they want to look into the future, and ultimately they will throw their hat in the ring and they want to contest.
Yes, I mean, politics are an interest-driven sport, as I always say. People are free to contest. Somebody asked me today, does it mean that the ambition of Asiwaju has ended? I said, one, Asiwaju never told you officially that he's contesting for the presidency. If he has the intention of contesting for the presidency, you cannot say at this stage that that ambition has ended.
Game has just started.
The game has just started.
There's
still a long way to 2023. There are elections within the party to take place. So those groups...
That's very crucial.
Yes, those groups who contest against themselves, now want to see which group produces the national chairman, which group produces a majority of the NWC members, which group dominates the various zones, the positions within the various zones. These things matter before the primaries of the party would happen, because that will give you an advantage over other groups as we approach the primaries. So that is the thing. It's premature to say someone's ambition has ended when we still have 3 years to 2023. It's premature.
And the party structure is very, very important to anybody's ambition.
Yes, it is now that the battle has just begun. It is now that the battle has just begun. So now this is the time when we will see the most dominant, the most influential group within the party. And I'm sure that all of those contending groups will not be taking things lightly. Everyone will want to position themselves to dominate things ahead of the convention that my last team will organize.
At the point in time, I got tired of the role played by the judiciary. Our politicians, they'll go to any length to rubbish the judiciary, or they'll do anything to make sure they bring down the roof by all sorts of black market injunctions and judgments and everything. And if Mr. President had not given that kind of express order that go and get off those court cases, that it would have taken a long time to do away with those court cases. Now, moving ahead, once they start something, it will be difficult to stop them. And the judiciary has been like a willing tool.
Yes. The truth is, without the politicians behaving the way they behave, the judiciary won't be behaving the way it's behaving. Anyone can get any ridiculous judgment from anywhere, the kind of the judgment that you call Jakara judgment. But the president has said now, because he knows that the decision that he has taken is a political decision, not necessarily backed by law. Most political decisions are not necessarily backed by law. So he knows that if the people should go to court, his effort will amount to nothingness. So that's why we sounded that note of warning that anyone who goes to court or refuses to withdraw the cases in court will be severely dealt with. This is the only way to ensure that the president gets away with the big decision that he and other NEC members took. Otherwise, they will go to court. And when they go to court, the party will be set back again. And the crisis will continue, or even start afresh. So that's why the president has said no one should go to court.
Okay, I have my first caller. Teller is calling us from River State.
I greet you all.
Thank you for joining us.
Chief Jide, you are a good analyst.
Thank you.
Of what is going on in this country.
Thank you, sir.
But listen, maybe you were very young at the time the West happened in the West. I was at Ibadan. My uncle was a High Court judge.
I was not born.
I believe that some of us who are doing this analysis concerning the politics of this country, we need to study the political history of this country to be able to be an effective analyst. You see, as far as I'm concerned, they know that Tinubu is politically, sound. They will not want him to be there. That is the truth of the matter. I used to be the publicity chairman of UPN in the old River State. So I'm talking from point of knowledge. You will see what will happen. Just watch. God keep us alive. They know what they are up to. And they will use you and dump you. Good day.
Thank you, Tella, for your contribution from River State. What I'm sure my producers are battling to connect Mobolade Omonijo on the line, and it's difficult getting him. So now, when you now look at the strength of the All Progressive Congress, the PDP at a point in time, from 1999, I've lost count of the number of states they were controlling. Very strong party, and to the extent that one Vincent Ogbulafo actually said in the next 60 years they will rule Nigeria. So they end up spending 16 years out of the 60 years. He projected. But for the All Progressive Congress, they sauntered into power in 2015. And I don't see any party dominating our landscape the way the People's Democratic Party did it for a whole 16 years. That's why the stakes are always high and the battle. But from what you are looking at, 2023, the All Progressive Congress, I'm beginning to get worried, going by this trend. Tendencies of party men not putting the interests of the party.
The party must stay organized. The party must rein in selfish individuals who do not put the party first. They must do something about such individuals. If they can't do something about them, then it will be difficult for them to win elections in future. They need to do something about such people who will work against the interests of their own party and go and cause their party to lose elections. It happened in Adamawa, it happened in some states. So the kind of
anti-party activity.
Yes, they are still there. They are getting away with it. Nobody has punished them.
You go and float another candidate in another party.
Yes,
sponsor
you
them.
sponsor a candidate to run in another party. You will now remain in your party. Who does that now? Who does that? And the party allows such people to even be grandstanding like
King Kong.
The next best thing is sliced bread. So they have to. Party discipline is paramount. And then internal democracy, because this is what divides parties. If the party does not put internal democratic ethos in place, it will be difficult for them.
Okay. Mobolade is joining us now. Mobolade, I want to know what your reaction to the intervention of Mr. President to the intra-party crisis within the All Progressive Congress.
Well, I think that was the only way out, really. The party was almost disintegrating. When you have factions that are working at cross purposes and you do not know whatever interest each person is projecting, then it's a problem. And it had already brought in the judiciary. It was only a presidential intervention that could have brought up some form of solution. We hope it will be permanent. We hope it's something that will put the party together from now to 2023, because 2023 is a long time is away from now. So I believe that, yes, the president needed to do what he did, and it has worked, because today, like you said, Giadom was at the national headquarters, and he was handing over, and he was saying sweet things that he was not saying before. Hilad Etta has not been saying anything again. Oshiomhole himself has handed over. He says he has accepted all that happened. All the major key players, all the chieftains of the party, of course, many of them are not. They are still aggrieved, but they have accepted the intervention of Mr. President, and only he could have put that through at that point in time.
Now, when you look at the future of the party, and in the next 6 months, what is expected, this committee, they're expected to carry out, what do you see?
It's not going to be as easy as it seems at the moment, because even though people appear to have sheathed their sword for now, as they are going towards the big thing, they want to have the biggest part of the cake. So as they are moving towards a convention, then you begin to see the legacy groups within the party. They will begin to come together and say, look, this is what we want. Each person wants to have the chairman. This one wants to have the president. It's only if Mr. President decides to play a more active role, not necessarily dictating what should happen, not necessarily bringing in some form of dictatorship. No, but nonetheless, playing some role at the background, letting people know, let all the various factions know that is involved, that is interested, and that is not just pulling out. The attitude of just staying out and allowing anybody to do whatever he liked will never work, and it never worked. Like Jide just said now, you had the Ogun State thing, when the former governor decided to sponsor somebody in another party and even took him to the president. And the president did not say anything. He came to the state to come and campaign, and the former governor was still repeating the same line. So that kind of thing can only promote indiscipline. In Imo State too, you had the same thing. That can only encourage people who do not have the interest of the party or of the nation for that matter to continue in their way. We need to do better. We need to organize ourselves better. We can do better. We've done better before. We need to go back. It's true that our history, political history, has shown that things have never really run smoothly for so long. I mean, like your caller said, he was talking of 65, the Wetier thing. Before 65, you had the split in the AG, and then you had the 1964 federal elections, December 1964, and it nearly pushed Nigeria down the precipice. Then 1965 January, where you had the Western parliamentary election that turned out to be the straw. So we need to think, where are we going as a people? Okay. We are not pulling our weight. We are not doing well. The black race is looking up to Nigeria to do better. And it starts from the political parties.
Thank you.
There must be internal democracy for us to go.
Jide, now, Bolade said something that is very, very important and that will be playing out in this same party days ahead. He spoke about the legacy parties. And whether we like it or not, those tendencies have not been brought as one house. No. You still have the CPC's tendency still holding their own. ACN. You still have the ACN tendency holding their own. And the NPDP holding their own. Yes, ultimately. And the concentration of appointment and power, when you see it, a lot of people would still tell you that it's still skewed within this legacy party.
Yes, of course, it is not possible to have a situation in which everybody gets basically the same number of appointments.
I thought by now, after 5 years, they would have even dissolved into APC.
No, those things are not. They are not that easy. People don't forget their roots. They always remember where they come from, no matter what. So, and the truth is, no matter how much effort the president makes, those who are in the ACN will remember that they were part of the ACN. Those who are in the ANPP, especially those of them from the Northeast, they will remember that they used to. Yes, they will remember that that's where they came from. So this is the fact. But you are now one party. They should stop seeing themselves as a special purpose vehicle. You have won an election. You have won another election. You are one party. So you should continue to see yourself as one party, not pulling in different directions. Because that is what ultimately will bring the party down. If they do not put an end to this idea of, I don't want to be involved with what they are doing. I'm doing my own. My own territory. I don't want anybody to come to my territory. I control this area. Nobody should come near me. So if they don't put an end to that, the APC will struggle in future elections. And you can see that the PDP has narrowed the gap. They've narrowed the gap. In the last election, they narrowed the gap. So, yes.
And with the defection of Obaseki now?
Yes.
It's always there's always almost a balance of power.
Yes, right now the whole of the South is in PDP hands, unless an election reverses that. And even when they won in Bayelsa, the courts took it away.
All right, still to come. President Buhari mourns as Kogi State Chief Judge Nasiru Ajanah dies at isolation center in Gwagwalada, Abuja, buried under strict NCDC. Multi-award winning program, Journalists Hangout. We're reaching you live from TBC News here in our headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. The COVID-19 pandemic has continued to claim more victims in Nigeria. Joining the growing list of people killed by the virus was the Chief Judge of Kogi State, Justice Nasiru Ajanah, who died at the isolation center in Gwagwalada, Abuja at the weekend. Justice Ajanah, who has since been buried according to laid down protocols by the Nigeria Center for Disease and Control, NCDC. Babajide, Kogi CJN is dead. Can the state still insist that there's no COVID-19 in that state? The Chief Judge of the state.
You see, I appeal to Mr. President to talk to the governor of Kogi State, because he has continued to live in denial. There is no country in the world where COVID-19 is not present. And if it's present in Nigeria, on the scale that it is present now, it is impossible to say that it is not present in a state, especially a state that is located in the center of the country, a state that you can describe as Nigeria's terminus, you know, the center of the country. So there is COVID-19 in Kogi. There is COVID-19 in Okene, the local government where the governor comes from. There is COVID-19 in Okehi, the local government where the CJ comes from. The CJ was sick. He was sick, and they took him to Abuja. From June 17, he had been on ventilator. At a point, his condition improved. But by Thursday, things got bad again.
It's always like that.
Yes, things got bad
Some
again.
of them will be discharged.
So one of the people there then called me that, let's pray for this man. You know that when he had his issues with the governor, I supported him, because this man was the kind of judge that you want in our country. A judge who can say, no, this case is a bailable offense. You know, he granted bail to Dino Melaye, and that was what angered the governor. And the governor ceased allocation to the judiciary for about a year. So I was praying for him, but things degenerated, and he died right there.
Don't have control over that.
He left Lokoja for Abuja. Yes, he had other ailments, but it does not mean that it was not COVID that killed him. It was COVID-19 that killed him. Just like it killed Abiola Ajimobi. You could have heart condition, you could be diabetic, you could have anything. But once COVID-19 gets involved, it makes it extremely difficult for you to survive. And that's why they are saying, okay, people who are above 60, 65 and the rest, stay in your homes. Don't go to church. Because once you are infected at that age, you have all kinds of ailments in your body. It will be difficult for you to survive. Look at a country like Italy, where they have a huge number of old people. You can see that so many of those old people died. Okay, so this is the thing.
Let's share some of the visuals of the burial with you. Justice Ajanah there being buried according to the laid-down protocols of COVID-19 as guided by the Nigerian Center for Disease and Control, NCDC. Mobolade, I see a double standard here somewhere. While some people will die, they'll release the corpse to the family. And NCDC is still telling us that something like this still exists. We know automatically if anybody dies of COVID-19, it belongs to government. And government should take custody and arrange for the burial. What is happening here? We've been seeing some people lately and they release the corpse to their families.
Yeah, well, I won't agree with you because I've had the opportunity of listening to the Commissioner for Health in Lagos State. And he has always said that the state has the capacity, and I think that is where the point is, the capacity to treat the corpse before releasing it.
Okay.
That once it is treated, then it can no longer cause harm or havoc. It cannot spread the disease. But I'm not sure every state has that capacity.
But Lagos States.
Whether they do that like Lagos State. But the Lagos State Commissioner said it, that they have the capacity to treat the corpse. Then they will release it to decontaminate, exactly. And I guess that is what happened in Abuja, because of course the NCDC is right there and they would have done everything they needed to do. They cannot afford to release the corpse to a person like Governor Yahaya Bello. He has been errant in all that he did on this matter. He has refused to have a standard testing center in the state. He has refused to cooperate with NCDC on this matter. So if they release the corpse to go to Kogi State, they cannot be too sure of what will happen there. So they have to agree with the family, and we've not heard so far that the family complained that they didn't release the corpse to them. So, I mean, Bakari was buried right there in Abuja. So I don't see any problem with that.
What should the Kogi government do now?
You know, the governor has been gaslighting the citizens of the state. It has to stop. It is his responsibility to protect the people. When you allow everyone to move around freely, nobody is using a mask, no form of protection, because you are under the illusion that it is not in your state, all because you don't want to spend money. We know why you are doing this. Then you are not playing your role as the leader, because your responsibility to protect people. Other governors are protecting their citizens. I know some of his best friends among the governors. Those ones are playing their roles. The governor of Yobe, for example, is a good friend of the governor of Kogi State. Why they cannot talk to him, advise him, I don't understand. So you can't be under the illusion that your state does not have COVID. What have you done that other states have not done? I said it before that if you are talking about even sanitation, Kogi does not come among the cleanest states in Nigeria. It's even far away. Open defecation is still practiced in many parts of Kogi State, including Kogi Central. Some people defecate on the hill. Open defecation. So how can you then say that?
The poorest record in the
yes.
world.
How can you say that COVID-19 does not exist in your state when if they go to the Idu isolation center as well as even the Gwagwalada, they will find people from Kogi there. People are sneaking out of the state to go and get proper attention. You know, people are dying. We don't know what is killing them because it's not investigated. But you cannot look at even what happened to them, to the other governor in Cross River who is deceiving himself that there's no COVID in the state. The governor of Cross River.
Okay.
The Unical Teaching Hospital has already confirmed that they had a patient. So the government now said, okay, we will get back to the public on, we will investigate and get back to the public on this matter. What are you going to say? You are going to deny again. You are fooling yourself because there is no way that a state can stand alone in a country and say, no, I don't have COVID.
There's a pandemic all over the world.
Then
that can affect your
open
state.
your doors. Let people come, those who are knowledgeable about it, even people from outside Nigeria. If we don't trust our own people, let them go and conduct tests. If we don't trust our NCDC, let's bring foreign scientists. Let them go and conduct tests. Whether we will not see many people from Kogi and in Kogi and Cross River that are carrying this virus. I mean, this joke has to stop.
Mobolade, why do you think we are playing politics with this COVID-19? Of what advantage is it that, oh, it has gotten to my state, it has not gotten to my state? As Jide said earlier, the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital just confirmed a case of COVID-19 in Calabar, but the state government says it will investigate and get back to the public. This is ridiculous.
Well, it's unfortunate that we have juveniles in charge of governance. Governance is a very serious business, and it's for people who are really serious and who know what they are doing. Some of these governors, especially that man, that joker in Kogi State, I wonder how such a person was voted for the first time and then returned. Well, we know what happened to the politics in Kogi State for the return. It's unfortunate that anybody will play politics with lives of people. You were elected to boost life. You were elected to protect lives. The security of lives is your paramount duty. And yet you are allowing the people to ebb out, to just go like that without treatment. You are deceiving yourself and deceiving the people. And they have to sneak out at some great cost to go to Abuja to get treatment. What does it take for us to have a testing center in Kogi as we have in other states? Why?
Mobolade Omonijo. And when you want to look at the way the states, the way they've handled it so far, how would you assess it? Right now, we're getting to a very serious
Dangerous
stage.
level, yes.
In August, it's projected that like a state like Lagos, we're not going to be counting in units numbers again.
Yes. No, we are getting to 1,000 now.
Yeah.
Almost 1,000 per day now. We are closing in on that.
Yes, that it's going to be alarming from August in Lagos States. How do we get over this, Jide?
We just have to continue to test, expand the capacity to test. Lagos State has been doing that. I want them to continue. It's better we discover as many of our people as possible who are carrying this virus and treat them. It is not a death sentence. The fatality rate is in the region of 2.5%. It's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to scandalize people about or tar people with a terrible brush because they have COVID. COVID is not a death sentence. Don't mystify it. But we are saying that, especially for the elderly in our society, that we need to tackle this because once it affects the elderly, it's difficult to save them. It's difficult to save them. If you met Senator Ajimobi, for example, if you met him a few weeks to his death, you would never imagine that something will bring him down.
You end up like
yes. But he contracted COVID despite the measures that he took, that his aides will attest to. But once you are of that age, he was 70, you are vulnerable. And that's what we are saying. Let's continue to do our best. I appreciate the Lagos people. Now, another isolation center is ready. They are even working with private sector. Private sector is helping them with building isolation center. So government alone will not spend all the money. That is what the man in Kogi should be doing. Get the private sector. After all, Dangote has a cement company in Obajana there. Very big. Dangote can help you to build an isolation center.
That's
the kind of isolation center that he built for them in Kano. He can help you. He can provide the funds. After all, they are making money out of that state.
They are big
So
settlements.
nobody is saying you alone should spend all the money. You understand? Because I know spending money is part of the issue for him. Get other people involved. Save people's lives. Put your ego aside. Because this is not the last that will happen. No? Other people will still die of COVID as long as Kogi has this laissez-faire attitude to the disease or the sickness. Other people will still die. Are they going to continue denying? This one now is all over the place. On the internet, it's everywhere. How much longer can you deny? When people, they can see the photograph, a video of the burial. They can see NCDC officials in their PEPs. They know it's when someone dies of COVID that they get that kind of attention. It is the COVID victim section of Gudu Cemetery that the Chief Judge was buried. So whom do you want to be denying to that it is not COVID? Oh, it's because he had one sickness before. Oh, he had been sick for years. No, it has to stop.
And Mobolade, from your end, when you look at the projections that have been given, I don't think Lagos State, I know, in spite of all the isolation centers, but with the figures we're getting now, there's a tendency that they might be overwhelmed after August.
As if they are not yet overwhelmed, or if they are not getting overwhelmed already. Because, I mean, they're already promoting treatment from home. So, I mean, it's an indication that the isolation centers are getting filled up. If you look at the number of people who contract the disease daily, and you look at those who have been discharged, you will see the disparity. It just shows you that it's not possible for you to continue like that. We just hope that there will be a way of containing it in good time. Because when we talk of this community spread, it's a very dangerous thing in a country like Nigeria and in a state like Lagos. There are so many parts of Lagos. Fortunately, it's not that much in such parts now. But there are so many parts of Lagos where you have all these face me, I face you, and you have about 50 people in one house, and they share everything together. They queue up to use the toilets and all that. How you now want to self-isolate in that kind of a place? I don't know how you'll be able to do that. So it is a problem. Now, there are still a number of people here, despite the actions of the government of Lagos State, who are still in denial too, who still believe that it's either there's no COVID-19 at all, or that it cannot reach them, or that they have some form of immunity against it.
Thank you.
That is a problem.
Jide, on a final note, one of the P-Square guys came out, brothers, and said he had COVID and was explaining that the entire family. I was coming upstairs to my office, TBC, and somebody was saying that maybe he lied, that it's not true. He had COVID, and I was like, what kind of argument is this? And we are saying it. This is a media house. We are saying
so there are such people in our premises.
Yeah. The person was saying no, it's a lie. That he was telling a lie against himself. I was like, what?
Something must be wrong with him.
What? I was like,
no. You see, I don't know what has come over our people. Things are going on. You see people that you think are educated.
Somebody coming out that I had COVID,
and they are actually putting to shame. They are putting to shame the institutions that produce them. They are causing people to question the degrees, the education that they have. You see, educated people say, no, this is just an opportunity for governments to steal money. And I'm saying, look, thieves in government, they don't need COVID to steal money. They don't need, there are so many things.
Security votes.
You award a contract. Let me tell you how one governor told me that money can easily be stolen. You award a contract, maybe 10 billion to a friend. You know in your heart that contract, you will not execute it. And you then tell him to go and do the feasibility study. He's entitled to 10% of the value of the contract. And you pay him the 10%. it's up to you to go ahead with the contract to the project or not. So you've made your friend happy. And at the end of the day, you
10% of 10
yes,
billion.
both of you can share it. So they don't need COVID to steal money. The thieves in government do not need COVID to steal. Stop deceiving yourself that it is just an opportunity. It's a scam. It's a scam, and it has killed 122,000 Americans.
It's getting closer.
Come on.
It's getting closer. I want to thank you, Mobolade Omonijo. Thank you, a member of this day, a member of the Nation editorial board member. Thank you for your contribution. And BKO, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to be back, BKO.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes,
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch Journalists Hangout on our platforms showing